We take what God has given us, and we take the views of our pastors and our parents and those in our society over and above what we know God has made within us. Whether it is that we were born in a body that does not reflect the gender that God gave us, whether it is that we were born to desire the love of somebody of our own sex, whatever it may be, we know what is pre-moral. We know what is intrinsic to us. We know what is part of our blueprint. Those things which are part of our blueprint are quite simply the will of God. If I didn't make it and you didn't make it, God made it. There was no one else in the picture. So race, gender identity, sexuality, these are the bedrock on which we build our personalities and our lives and our faith story. These are the things on which we make our true confession before God. These are the things on which we build the palaces of our lives. Without those, we are wandering in the marshes and we have no foundation. No foundation at all. Nothing to build on. We live in a distorted world where we think that if we can persuade our neighbour of something, that's all that matters. When in truth, we have to look into our hearts and know what the score is, and know that anything we achieve through that deception is going to be bitter. Anything that we achieve through deceiving ourselves or others is going to be an impossible pill to swallow. Something that can never bring us health. So, there is more to it than just saying it's going to get better. Yes, it's going to get better, but not always in the way you imagine. I'm going to come out with something very trite. It sounds trite because it's used a lot. That doesn't mean it's trite, that may mean it's true. All things work for the good. All things work for the good of them that love God. Amen. In Christ Jesus. All things work for the good, but as my brother Nick mentioned yesterday, not all things feel good. Not all things are good in themselves. All things work to the good. Now that's not some Pollyanna idea that, oh well, just suck it up, darling. In a few years, you'll be living in a palace with your ideal husband or your ideal wife and 2 dogs. That's nonsense. But I'll tell you what, you may start producing fruit, which is an extraordinary thing. You start growing and you produce fruit. Who knew? That might not have been what you planned for your life, but it's sure as hell what God planned for your life. You were given a garden, for goodness sakes. There's been sunshine, there's been plenty of rain on it, and there's been a fair bit of manure. Now what happens to a garden when rain, sun, and manure go upon it? The seed grows. We just got the sun. All you have when just you have is the sun is barren drought. You have a desert. Right. You need the rain as well, and my God, you need the manure. And it seems the more stinky it is, the more effective it is, and the richer the flavour of the fruit. I preached here before about how we are not endless rows of identikit tomatoes. I said tomatoes. Americanized. Endless rows. It's not because I'm Americanized, I'm just fed up with the confused looks that I get. Endless rows of identikit tomatoes like you get from the supermarket shelves. We're more like Creole tomatoes, you know, which have extraordinary blotches on them and peculiar shapes, but they have a flavour as well. We are also like dragon fruit and myrtleton and these extraordinary and bizarre things that you see when you go to Far Eastern markets. Okay, we're not what they ordered back at home, but we're a great deal better. We're not what they expected to get from Walmart, because, you know, we didn't come from Walmart. We came from a specialty supply. And for all those kids who are out there now desperately worrying why they are not what their parents wanted, it's because their parents didn't have any taste. It's because they did not know what was good. Their parents ordered the buy into what society presses on them, that they've got to be all the same, they've got to fit in, they've got to be normal. It's only when you get older that you realise that that's the most horrifying thing anyone could put upon you. You know, if any of you are John Waters fans, just one, my goodness. John Waters released a movie called Female Trouble, and Edith Massey in Female Trouble is trying to persuade her nephew to be gay. And he says, I just wish you were gay, it's just better. He says, the world of the heterosexual is a sick and boring place, she says. Well, the world of the heterosexual is not a sick and boring place, but it's sick and boring if you're not heterosexual. Imagine being a little straight person, being born in the Castro that never stopped. It just went into the French Quarter in West Hollywood. And there was no in-between, there was no Idaho, no Nebraska, just endless gay ghettos as far as the eye could see. You love it. But I'll tell you what, you'd be kind of surprised if that straight kid didn't grow up with some issues. Because if you don't see yourself reflected in what you came from, and that's usually your family group, the feeling of isolation is appalling. And when you are being bullied because of your sexual identity, that's all the worse, because almost all other types of bullying, you have natural allies. At least your parents probably look like you. So if you're being bullied on race, then you have your parents and a family who will back you up. And maybe a community that will back you up. If you're being bullied on your size, well, presumably your parents know what your size is, you know? But if you're being bullied about your sexuality, and this affects straight kids who are bullied because people think they are gay, just as much as gay kids who are bullied because they are gay, you have no allies. You can't tell anyone. You can't tell your parents. The last thing you want your parents to know is that everyone thinks you're queer at school. I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't want my parents to know that everyone thought I was a puff. I knew full well that that wasn't what my father wanted. My parents didn't rant and rave homophobic comments all the time, but I knew what they thought. I knew it wasn't what they wanted. There was enough sniggering at people on TV, and all the role models on TV were not just campy, they were pathetic. They were weak and harmless people. All the LGBT role models on TV were to be laughed at. And the signal it gave to me was that they were pitiful people. They may be funny, they may be witty, but they were ultimately pathetic. And they were utterly sexless. It was all double entendres and sniggering. They were like high school girls. There was no meat there, you know? It was only no power. They had no power. They were utterly powerless. Utterly powerless. It is like communities that are only ever lifted up and celebrated when they are singing and dancing and entertaining. It's unthreatening. It's powerless. You don't have to see them with power. And that was the same for our community. Well, things have changed. In places, things have changed very radically. When I was a child, if somebody had told me that the mayor of Houston, Texas was going to be a lesbian, I would have thought somebody was playing a sick joke. I mean, in Texas, for goodness sakes, a lesbian! The mayor! What is it, the fifth biggest city in the US? It's pretty damn enormous. It seems to go on forever. My goodness. I'm not here to criticize Houston, but really?